Chapter 41. Inside the dungeon. Alex stands, pacing around the room. A dungeon would definitely attract monsters seeking strength, weapons, and skills. Monsters would be drawn to the challenge and the rewards. He stops in his tracks, eyes narrowing in thought. If there are no dungeons here, then I'll have to create one myself. A dungeon in Mizorn could turn the city into a beacon for monsters. Alex stops pacing, his eyes narrowing as he recalls his inventory. Let me check what I have, he mutters under his breath, his hand reaching out. The transparent screen flickers back to life, this time showing his inventory. He taps a few times, scrolling through the various items. I have a lot of low-tier dungeon blueprints, he says aloud. I just need to gather the resources to build one. He sees the blueprint for a low-tier dungeon. His eyes scan the required materials. To build this dungeon, I need 500 gold coins, and I have 800 right now. He raises an eyebrow, considering the amount. That should work. Though it costs 100 gold coins per day to operate, Gortha's kin can forge around 100 gold coins daily, plus the dungeon entrance fees. So I'll have more than enough. A few minutes later, Alex arrives at Mizorn City, standing at the edge of the gates. The once dilapidated city now shows signs of rebuilding, but there's still a noticeable emptiness in the streets. The city seems to be recovering, but not at the pace he expected. Soren, standing nearby, bows her head respectfully as he approaches. Your Majesty, she says with a faint smile. Alex looks around, taking in the state of the city. He then turns to Soren with a thoughtful expression. Didn't know you had such a talent for governing a city, Soren, he says, genuinely impressed. Soren tilts her head, a bit sheepish. I did my best, Your Majesty, but it's been difficult to convince the monsters to settle here. Alex sighs, shaking his head slightly. I see. Only a few monsters decided to stay. Soren nods. Yes, Your Majesty. Many of them prefer their own territories, and the idea of living in a city with so many different kinds of monster is uncomfortable for some. Alex gives her a reassuring smile. It's all right. This time, I'll make sure those monsters come running to the city. Soren looks up, her expression curious. How do you plan to do that, Your Majesty? Alex gives Soren a knowing smile, his eyes gleaming with confidence. You'll know soon enough. He then looks around, his gaze sharp. Soren, I want you to make sure no one comes to this area. Not a soul. Do you understand? Soren nods immediately. Of course, Your Majesty. I will make sure no one approaches. With that, Alex turns away and walks toward the designated area. His thoughts are laser-focused as he prepares for the task ahead. As he steps into the open space, he raises his hand, activating the system. The transparent screen flickers to life, and a series of holographic blueprints appear before him. With a quick command, the system begins to construct the dungeon. The ground trembles lightly as the structure takes shape. Within moments, a sturdy building materializes, resembling an ordinary stone structure, nothing too grand, yet undeniably functional. Alex steps inside the newly constructed dungeon building. The interior is simple, plain stone walls, a few wooden tables, and a single receptionist desk positioned neatly in front of the portal. The only thing that stands out is the shimmering dungeon entrance itself, pulsing faintly with magical energy. The monster receptionist, the same metallic-skinned humanoid from before, bows slightly upon seeing him. Welcome, Your Majesty. It greets, its voice smooth and polite. Alex nods in acknowledgement, his gaze flickering toward the portal. Make the entrance fee 50 silver coins, he orders. The receptionist tilts its head slightly, processing the command. Understood, Your Majesty. The entrance fee is now set at 50 silver coins per entry. Alex crosses his arms, glancing around. The place is functional, but it still lacks the atmosphere of a true dungeon hub. That would change with time. Once word spreads, monsters and adventurers alike will flock here, drawn by the potential rewards within. Good, Alex murmurs, then turns back to the receptionist. Is everything else in place? Will the dungeon function properly for challengers? The receptionist nods. Yes, Your Majesty. The dungeon is fully operational. Creatures suitable for its tier have already been assigned within. Would you like to inspect the layout personally? Alex considers the offer for a moment before nodding. Let's do that, he says, his curiosity piqued. His gaze flickers to the receptionist. What's your name? The metallic-skinned receptionist straightens slightly. Lathe, Your Majesty. Alex nods in acknowledgement. All right, Lathe. Without another word, he steps forward, his eyes fixed on the shimmering portal. The magic hums softly, its surface rippling like disturbed water. Without hesitation, he steps through. A moment later, Alex finds himself standing in a dimly lit cave. The air is damp, and the faint echo of dripping water fills the silence. Stalagmites and jagged rocks protrude from the ground, giving the place an eerie, almost foreboding atmosphere. Alex narrows his eyes, scanning his surroundings. The dungeon feels oddly familiar yet different from the usual monster-filled lairs. His senses remain sharp as he takes a cautious step forward, expecting an ambush at any moment. Then he sees them.
Humans.
Scattered throughout the cave, groups of armored warriors, thieves, and lightly dressed scouts move with purpose, as if preparing for battle. Some are sharpening their swords, others tending to wounds, and a few are even eating around makeshift campfires. They look like adventurers, mercenaries, and rogue fighters, but their presence here feels unnatural. Yet not a single one acknowledges him. Alex frowns, stepping closer. A swordsman in rusted armor walks past him, eyes fixed ahead as if Alex isn't even there. Another, a thieves muttering under his breath, barely blinks in his direction. As expected, they don't see me. Alex murmurs, intrigued. He raises a hand, waving it in front of a passing rogue's face. Nothing. No reaction. Chapter 42. A chest with magical items. Alex continues deeper into the dungeon, observing the human enemies that populate it. Just like in the game, neither he nor his subordinates can challenge the dungeons within his own kingdom. It was a restriction meant to prevent players from farming their own resources. After navigating through winding tunnels, Alex finally reaches a larger cavern, dimly lit by flickering torches. At the center of the room sits a large, rugged-looking man on a throne made of scavenged wood and bones. Around him, several women, captives or willing followers, Alex isn't sure, serve him food and pour wine into his goblet. Alex narrows his eyes. So this dungeon's theme is a bandit stronghold, he thinks to himself. The setup is familiar. A chaotic base where bandits gather, plundering the weak, and a leader who reigns over them like a self-proclaimed king. His gaze shifts to the bandit leader. The system immediately provides his details. Bandit leader, level 330. Level 300, huh? Alex muses. That should be more than enough for the monsters living in the forest to fight against. With that, he turns around and exits the dungeon. Back in the dungeon entrance hall, Alex strides toward the exit, his mind already forming plans. Back at Soren's quarter, she stands waiting, her expression calm but curious. Come with me, Alex says simply. Soren tilts her head but follows without hesitation. The two of them make their way back into the dungeon building. As soon as they step inside, Soren's eyes immediately lock onto the shimmering portal in the center of the room. Her pupils narrow slightly in surprise. Your Majesty, she says, her voice laced with awe. What is that? Alex crosses his arms and smirks. A dungeon. Soren frowns slightly, staring at the shimmering portal. A dungeon? She repeats, her voice laced with confusion. What is a dungeon? Alex's smirk widens. You'll know after you go in. Soren gives him a wary glance but ultimately nods. Without hesitation, she steps forward, her body passing through the rippling light. The world shifts. In an instant, Soren finds herself standing in a dimly lit cave. The air is damp, carrying the faint scent of blood and burning wood. Flickering torchlight casts eerie shadows on the jagged rock walls. Her ears twitch at the sound of voices, low, rough murmurs echoing through the cavern. Her instincts take over. Without thinking, she melts into the shadows, activating her stealth. Her body becomes one with the darkness, her presence vanishing from sight. Carefully, she moves toward the source of the voices. She peeks from behind a stalagmite and stiffens at what she sees. A pair of rugged-looking men dressed in tattered armor, their weapons strapped to their sides. One has a crude sword resting on his lap, while the other sharpens a dagger against a whetstone. Soren's eyes narrow. Humans? Here? She thinks, her mind racing. And why am I in a cave? A dozen questions swirl in her mind, but she pushes them aside. This is not the time to hesitate. She moves. Like a whisper of death, she glides forward. Before the men can react, her dagger slices through the first one's throat. A wet gurgle escapes his lips as he collapses, eyes wide in shock. The second man barely has time to turn his head before Soren's blade plunges into his chest. He gasps, his body jerking as she twists the weapon, ensuring a swift kill. Silence falls over the cavern once more. Soren exhales softly, pulling her blade free. She wipes the blood off on the dead man's tunic, her mind still buzzing with questions. What is this place? She murmurs under her breath. And why are humans here? In Soren's mind, Alex would never push her to her death. Whatever this place was, there had to be a reason for her being here. That thought alone was enough to push her forward. She moves silently through the cavern, keeping to the shadows as she explores deeper. The more she sees, the clearer the picture becomes. More humans. Groups of them scattered throughout the cave. Some drinking, some counting stolen goods, others sharpening weapons. Crude wooden furniture, makeshift tents, and storage crates fill the space. Soren narrows her eyes. This looks like a bandit base. The realization makes her grip her dagger tighter. So this was their hideout. If that was the case, then this was a perfect hunting ground. As she continues further, her eyes catch something unusual. A wooden chest tucked into the corner of a side chamber. Her curiosity piqued, she approaches cautiously. A chest? She murmurs, kneeling in front of it. Let's see if there's anything useful inside. With practiced ease, she lifts the lid. Inside, instead of gold or weapons, she finds a single item resting on the dark wood, a ring. Soren blinks. A ring. She picks it up, turning it between her fingers. It's simple, unadorned, and slightly worn, yet something about it feels different. That's it? She mutters, tilting her head. Just a ring. It seems too underwhelming to be locked away in a chest. The moment the ring settles in place, a faint sensation washes over her. Her body feels lighter, more fluid, as if the very air around her is giving way to her movements with less resistance. She flexes her fingers, then shifts her stance experimentally. A subtle difference, but it's there. Her eyes widen slightly. I feel faster? She glances down at the ring, now resting snugly on her finger. What she doesn't realize is that the ring grants +3 agility. A small smirk tugs at her lips. Interesting. Whatever this dungeon was, it was full of surprises. Soren presses forward, her movements silent as a shadow gliding through the dimly lit tunnels. She keeps her senses sharp, scanning the area for more loot or useful weapons. But unlike before, no more chests appear. The winding corridors stretch endlessly, littered with crates and stolen goods, yet none of them seem interactable. A frown tugs at her lips. Strange. That chest from earlier had an item inside. But now, nothing? Chapter 43. The Boss vs. Soren. Her gaze shifts to a fallen bandit, his sword still clutched in his stiffening hand. Practical thought crosses her mind. Why not take their weapons? She crouches beside the corpse and reaches for the sword's hilt. It doesn't budge. Soren's brows furrow. She tightens her grip and pulls harder, but the weapon remains stuck, as if welded to the ground. What? She mutters under her breath. She tries another body. This one had a dagger strapped to his belt. But no matter how much she pulls, it refuses to come loose. It's as if the weapons are mere props, part of the environment, and not something she can claim. A cold realization washes over her. So I can't loot them? This place is weird. Her lips press into a thin line. She doesn't understand the logic behind it, but standing around won't give her answers. Pushing the thought aside, she continues deeper into the cave. The air grows heavier, tinged with the stench of sweat, alcohol, and something rotten. The flickering torches along the walls barely push back the darkness, casting eerie, dancing shadows. Then, she hears it: boisterous laughter. She slows her steps, pressing herself against the rough stone wall as she approaches the source of the noise. Peeking around the corner, her sharp eyes take in the scene before her. A large cavern opens up before her, wider than any of the previous tunnels. At its center sits a figure on a makeshift throne of wood and bones. His muscles bulge beneath his ragged cloak, scars crisscrossing his exposed arms. A great sword rests beside him, the metal gleaming dully in the low light. Surrounding him are more bandits, some sprawled across wooden benches, others drinking straight from barrels of stolen ale. A handful of women linger close, refilling cups and tending to the leader's every whim. Soren's grip tightens on her dagger. Her golden eyes flicker, analyzing the scene. The way the others glance at him, the way no one dares speak too loudly in his presence. There's no doubt. This man holds authority here. Soren steadies her breathing, pressing deeper into the shadows, her eyes locked on the bandit leader. He is larger up close, his presence exuding a primal dominance that makes the other bandits unconsciously shrink before him. Just as she prepares to move, his head suddenly snaps in her direction. A slow, toothy grin spreads across his scarred face. "Oh!" His deep, gravelly voice rumbles through the cavern. "Looks like we have a little mouse hiding in the dark." Soren's breath stills. Impossible. Her stealth is perfect. She hadn't made a sound, and none of the other bandits had noticed her. How did he see me? Realizing she's been exposed, she steps forward, letting the shadows peel away from her form. Her eyes remain locked onto the leader, scanning him for any hint of how he detected her. The bandit leader leans forward on his throne, his grin widening. "Although I can't see your figure under that robe," he says, inhaling deeply, "I can smell that delicious fragrance your body is emitting." Soren's expression hardens, but she remains silent. The four bandits jerk in surprise. One of them, a scruffy-looking man with a chipped tooth, furrows his brows. "Boss, are you sure it's a woman?" he asks skeptically. The leader chuckles, his tongue running over his teeth. "Oh, I'm sure." He lifts his hand lazily and gestures forward. "Go and capture her. I'll have my fill first. Then the rest of you can take turns." The bandits exchange eager grins before turning their predatory gazes toward Soren. But Soren doesn't flinch. If anything, she tilts her head slightly, her lips curling into something cold, something that sends a chill down their spines before they even take their first step. A quiet chuckle escapes Soren's lips, barely more than a breath. "This is good," she muses. "This human is too cocky." Her golden eyes flicker over the four underlings advancing toward her. She instantly assesses their strength. Tier 2 warriors, level 200 plus. She is a Tier 3 assassin, level 300 plus. A hunter of the dark. The moment they step toward her, they have already lost. The first bandit lunges, his blade gleaming under the dim torchlight. His movements are fast for a human but predictable. Soren doesn't move until the last second, her body shifting just enough to let the attack pass through empty air. Then she strikes. A single twist of her wrist. A flash of silver. The bandit gasps, his eyes widening as his throat opens in a crimson smile. He stumbles back, clutching at his neck, gurgling as blood spills between his fingers. The second one reacts immediately, swinging a heavy axe toward her side. Soren sidesteps, her cloak billowing as the axe crashes into the stone floor with a deafening crack. Before the wielder can recover, she moves, her dagger sinking into the gap between his shoulder and neck. His body stiffens, his breath hitching. Soren yanks the blade free, spinning around him like a wraith, and slashes across his exposed side. The man crumples, a ragged cry escaping his lips before he collapses. The remaining two hesitate. Shit! She's too fast. One of them hisses. Surround her, the other shouts. They rush her at once, one from the left, the other from the right. Soren lets them come. The moment they enter her range, she vanishes. For a heartbeat, there is nothing. No sound. No presence. Then, a blur. Soren reappears behind the one on the right. He barely has time to widen his eyes before her dagger pierces the base of his skull. He drops instantly, his body limp before he even registers the pain. The last bandit stumbles back in terror. Monster! He breathes, his hands trembling. He turns on his heel, ready to run. A cold hand grabs the back of his head. Soren yanks him down, her knee slamming into his face with a sickening crunch. Bone shatters. Blood sprays. He collapses at her feet, groaning weakly before the darkness claims him. Chapter 44. Silver Chest. Silence falls over the cavern. Soren exhales softly, flicking her wrist to shake the blood from her blade. The fight lasted mere seconds. The bodies around her lay still, their blood pooling against the cold stone floor. She lifts her gaze. The bandit leader remains seated on his throne, his grin unfazed, his eyes gleaming with amusement. He chuckles. Now this, he murmurs, is interesting. Soren doesn't hesitate. She vanishes. A sharp gust rustles the torches as she reappears behind the bandit leader, her dagger aimed for his neck in a killing strike. Clang! A massive arm swings back, his great sword blocking her blade in a shower of sparks. Fast. The leader muses, his grin widening as he twists his grip and shoves her back. But predictable. Soren flips midair, landing lightly on her feet. Her golden eyes narrow. She has fought countless foes, but his reaction speed was unnatural. Before she can reposition, he retaliates. Titan Fong. His great sword blurs, its weight multiplying as it descends toward her like a falling mountain. Soren moves. Shadow step. She flickers out of existence, appearing just beyond his reach. The stone where she once stood explodes, jagged cracks splitting the cavern floor. I need to be careful not to get hit. She lunges again, her daggers glowing with night piercer, a skill that ignores armor and strikes directly at vital points. The leader reacts instantly. Steel Fortress. A faint shimmer envelopes his body, and Soren's blades scrape uselessly against his skin as if striking solid iron. He laughs. An assassin with weak strikes? Disappointing. His counter is brutal. He swings the flat of his blade toward her midsection, aiming to crush her ribs. Soren bends backward, the wind of the strike rushing past her face. She kicks off the ground, flipping over the blade's path. In mid-air, she vanishes again. She reappears at his side, her leg whipping out in a precise arc. Phantom Fong. Her heel slams into his temple, the force amplified by her skill. The impact reverberates through the cavern, sending a shockwave outward. The bandit leader stumbles, his grin faltering for the first time. Soren lands, adjusting her stance. Not bad for a brute. The leader straightens, rolling his neck. The skin where she struck him is bruised, but he looks more amused than angry. Not bad for a rat. They stare at each other for a heartbeat. Then they move. The cavern erupts into chaos. Soren disappears into the shadows, striking from unpredictable angles. The leader swings with monstrous strength, tearing through stone and air alike. Every clash sends shockwaves rippling through the cavern, embers dancing in the torchlight. They are evenly matched. But Soren knows she only needs one perfect strike. The fight stretches on for a full minute, each exchange a deadly blur of motion. Soren darts through the shadows, striking from every angle. Yet, each time the bandit leader either blocks, dodges, or counters with terrifying precision. Damn. This human has good reflexes. She hides now, her breathing slow, her presence erased by stealth. Her golden eyes flicker from the darkness, observing. The bandit leader stands in the open, great sword resting on his shoulder, his grin still there, but now there's something sharper behind it. "Running already?" he taunts, his voice echoing through the cavern. He closes his eyes and takes a deep breath. "Come on. You can't hide from me forever." Soren grits her teeth. It's not just his reaction speed. He has an unnatural sense, almost like an animal tracking its prey. If this keeps up, he'll wear her down. She needs to end this. Silently, she grips her dagger, activating her Tier 3 skill. Abyss Fang. A suffocating stillness fills the air. The shadows around her deepen, stretching unnaturally, twisting toward her as if drawn to something primal. Her blade drinks in the darkness, turning void black, its edge humming with lethal intent. Her presence vanishes completely. The bandit leader's eyes widen slightly. His instincts scream at him.
Danger.
He moves too late. Soren reappears behind him, her blade already plunging toward his exposed back. He spins, swinging his greatsword wildly. But Abyss Fang ignores defense. Her dagger pierces his side, sinking deep. A black ripple spreads from the wound, devouring his protection, bypassing his steel fortress. Gah! The leader staggers, his body locking up. His muscles tremble, his limbs sluggish. Abyss Fang doesn't just pierce the body. It devours movement. Soren doesn't hesitate. She pivots, twisting the blade, and in the same motion slashes upward. A dark arc of energy erupts from the strike. The bandit leader's body jerks violently. Blood sprays. His greatsword slips from his fingers, crashing to the ground. His legs give out and he drops to his knees. His breath comes ragged now. He clutches his wound, his grin gone, replaced by something between shock and laughter. Heh heh. Not bad, he rasps. I actually lost. Soren watches him, dagger still in hand. Then she moves. A final blur. Her dagger flashes, and the bandit leader's body slumps to the ground, unmoving. Silence. Soren exhales, rolling her shoulders as the shadows retreat from her form. The skill fades, the eerie pressure lifting from the cavern. She flicks the blood from her dagger, stepping over the corpse. Just as she turns to leave, a voice echoes inside her head. Congratulations on clearing the dungeon. Please proceed to the reward. You will be teleported out shortly after claiming it. Soren freezes. Her eyes dart around the cavern, her body tense. What the? She tightens her grip on her dagger, scanning the shadows. No movement, no presence. Yet, the voice was clear as day, reverberating inside her skull. The voice in my head just said something about a reward, she mutters, her brows furrowing. Her instincts scream at her. She doesn't like unseen forces dictating her actions. But there's no immediate threat. Her gaze sweeps across the cavern. That's when she sees it. At the center of the room, a silver-colored chest shimmers faintly, as if appearing from nowhere. Chapter 45. Openg of the Dungeon, Part 1. Her eyes narrow. That chest wasn't there before. Soren approaches cautiously, her steps silent, her body poised to react. When she gets close, she stops, staring down at the ornate engravings on its surface. She exhales through her nose. This better not be a trap. Soren crouches beside the chest, running a hand over the cool metal. No visible locks.
No había straps.
But that doesn't mean it's safe. She presses her lips into a thin line, then swiftly lifts the lid. A soft glow illuminates her face. Inside, nestled on a black velvet cloth, are two daggers. They are unlike any she has seen before. Midnight black with silver etchings that pulse faintly, as if alive. The air around them hums with power. Soren hesitates only a moment before reaching in. The moment her fingers wrap around the hilts, a rush of information slams into her mind. Her vision blurs. Her breath catches. It's not pain, but the sheer force of it leaves her momentarily stunned. Words. Symbols. A skill. A Tier 3 skill. Her eyes widen as the knowledge settles, as natural as if she had known it all her life. Slowly, she exhales. This dagger has a tier 3 skill, she whispers. Her voice is barely audible, but in the vast silence of the cavern, it feels deafening. She stares at the weapons in her hands, her fingers tightening around them. She only has one tier 3 skill, Abyss Fang. And even that, her heart beats faster. She almost died getting it. The memory flickers, breaking into that nobleman's estate, slipping past powerful guards, barely making it out alive. She almost got killed for Abyss Fang. Yet now, she swallows hard. Soren takes a shaky breath, trying to steady the thoughts racing through her mind. It's not just the tier 3 skill. The daggers themselves, they're high quality. She lifts one, studying its edge. The craftsmanship is leagues beyond anything she has wielded before. The weight, the balance, it feels like an extension of her own hand. Her grip tightens. If I had these earlier, she mutters, voice tinged with frustration, I could have stabbed that bastard without a problem. She exhales sharply, shaking off the thought. No use dwelling on what-ifs. Just as she's about to test the blade, a soft hum fills the air. Blinding white light engulfs her, swallowing everything. Soren tenses, instinctively raising her daggers, but the sensation is weightless, like being pulled through space itself. Then, a blink. The air shifts. She finds herself standing in a familiar place. The stone floor beneath her feet. The faint scent of parchment, steel, and something distinctly regal. She's back. Her eyes snap up and sure enough, there he is. Alex stands before her, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. Soren exhales sharply, still gripping the daggers. Her mind reels from the sudden shift, but she forces the confusion down. Soren takes a step forward, her grip on the daggers loosening slightly. Her eyes flick around, confirming that she is indeed back. After a brief pause, she exhales. I'm back, Your Majesty. Alex nods, as if her return was expected. You must have a lot of questions. His voice is steady, measured. I'll explain it to you. Soren listens in silence as he begins. That place you were in, it's called a dungeon. She furrows her brows slightly, still gripping her weapons. A dungeon? She repeats. Alex nods. Yes. And the human bandits inside? They weren't real people. Soren's expression shifts, a flicker of surprise crossing her usually composed features. That's impossible. Alex smirks slightly. I know it feels real. The fights, the blood, the pain. It's all designed to be that way. But the moment you left, everything inside reset. The bandits will come back, the chests will close, and someone else will have the chance to go through it all over again. Soren's grip on her new daggers tightens. A place where enemies revive. Alex chuckles. It's a perfect hunting ground. Soren gives him a sharp look but says nothing. Listen, Alex continues, his tone turning serious. We're going to open this dungeon to the public. It will attract those monsters to settle in the city. Soren tilts her head. That's right. The monster are too proud to live in the same place as other monsters. And because only the citizens can use the dungeon, Alex explains. They need to become a citizen of Mizorn City. They'll have access to a place where they can get items. Who wouldn't want that? His smirk widens. Who wouldn't want the chance to kill humans while also getting stronger and collecting weapons and items? She lowers her head slightly. As you wish, Your Majesty. A thought crosses her mind, and she lifts her gaze again. Can I ask, are all the weapons and items I obtained real? Alex nods. They're real. Everything you bring out of the dungeon exists in the real world. But whether you get something good or not depends entirely on luck. He gives her a pointed look. And you? You were lucky. That dagger you got is high quality, and the ring boosts your agility. Soren frowns slightly. Agility. It makes you faster, Alex simplifies. Soren's expression shifts as realization dawns. After I put this ring on, I felt a little faster. Even if it was just a small change, I noticed it. Alex nods. That's agility for you. With enough of it, Even an average fighter can become fast enough to dodge attacks that should be impossible to avoid. Soren looks down at her hand, flexing her fingers as if testing the change again. Soren's expression turns serious. She lifts her gaze, her eyes locking onto his. Your Majesty, there's one problem. Go on. The leader of the bandits, Soren says, gripping her new daggers. He's strong, too strong. I don't think the monsters in this forest have the capability to kill him. Alex doesn't seem surprised. If anything, he looks amused. Don't worry, he says easily. Before anyone enters, the receptionist will give them an item that lets them teleport out of the dungeon, even if they don't defeat the leader. Chapter 46. Reviving a Subordinate. Soren said, You didn't give me one. Alex chuckles. Because I knew you could kill him. She exhales, shaking her head. You really put a lot of faith in me. Faith? Alex tilts his head. No. I just know what you're capable of. Soren studies him for a long moment before looking down at her weapons again. The weight of them, the hum of power beneath her fingertips. She had survived, yes, but it wasn't easy. And yet, despite the odds, she had won. She huffs a quiet laugh. I suppose I can't argue with that. Alex gives her one last smirk before turning away. I'll leave the rest to you. Soren watches as he exits, his footsteps fading into the corridor. She exhales, rolling her shoulders. The real work begins now. Over the next few days, Tolga, as she is known to the public, handles the dungeon's publicity. At first, skepticism runs rampant among the monsters of Mizorn City. A thing called dungeon where you can obtain weapons and items? It sounds absurd, a fairy tale. But curiosity wins out. One by one, monsters enter the dungeon. Some emerge victorious, clutching newfound treasures with disbelief and exhilaration. Others aren't so lucky. Some lose, some even die. But the allure of strength, the chance to wield power beyond their limits, proves irresistible. By the end of the week, nearly all 5,000 monsters in Mizorn have used the dungeon at least once. The city's atmosphere shifts. Monsters who once had no direction now have purpose. Those who were weak strive to become stronger. Those who were already strong seek to push their limits further. But it doesn't stop there. As the monsters of Mizorn go out to sell their weapons, armor, and loot in neighboring towns, they bring stories with them. The dungeon, the endless battles, the treasures waiting inside. At first, no one believes them. A dungeon where enemies resurrect? Where you can collect real items. Sounds like a lie. Yet the proof is undeniable. A goblin merchant slams a gleaming sword onto a wooden counter in a bustling market. This ain't just any blade, he boasts, grinning sharp-toothed. Got it from Mizorn's dungeon. Slaughtered a dozen bandits for it. Still sharp as hell. A towering ogre, arms crossed, scoffs. You expect me to believe that? Believe what you want. The goblin snorts, jingling a pouch heavy with gold. But only Mizorn citizens can enter. You ain't one of us. So, keep dreaming. Similar conversations spread like wildfire. Skeptical at first, monsters from various tribes start traveling to Mizorn, curious to see the truth for themselves. Some disguise their intentions, lingering on the city's outskirts, watching. Others are more direct, demanding entry. But they are turned away. Only citizens can enter the dungeon. Outsiders? They are forbidden. That exclusivity only fuels their desire. Slowly but surely, the wandering tribes, those without a true home, begin to settle in Mizorn. They swear loyalty, integrating into the city, bound by one shared goal: to grow stronger. Mizorn City is no longer a ghost city. It is becoming something far greater. A haven. A kingdom of monsters. Alex stands in his private chamber, his gaze fixed on the large chest overflowing with gold coins. The candlelight flickers, casting a warm glow over the shimmering treasure. Drea, standing beside him with her hands clasped in front of her, bows slightly. Your Majesty, this is all the gold coins they have collected. It has been stored in Mizorn City's treasury until now. Alex hums in acknowledgement, his sharp eyes scanning the wealth before him. Thank you, Drea. You can leave me for now. Drea bows once more before turning to leave, her steps silent as she exits the chamber. Once alone, Alex moves forward, placing his hand on the chest. A moment later, the entire chest vanishes, sucked into his palm as if absorbed into thin air. A soft chime echoes in his mind as his status updates. His gaze shifts inward, checking his inventory. Gold coins, 1,328,320. Alex smirks. Not bad, he mutters, but his expression darkens slightly as he leans back, arms crossed. Still, I'm sure that bastard, the former city lord, took most of it when he fled. Alex taps his fingers against the armrest of his chair, his eyes fixed on the glowing numbers in his status. 1,328,000 gold coins. A significant sum, but when it comes to resurrecting his subordinates, it's barely enough. He exhales through his nose, his fingers tightening slightly. With this much, which subordinate should I resurrect? The thought of reviving the soldiers crosses his mind. He could use the gold to bring back hundreds of soldiers, bolstering Mizorn City's defenses. But then, he shakes his head. No, what I need right now isn't numbers. It's power. His weakest personal subordinate, level 500, already costs 1,000,000 gold to resurrect. That alone tells him how absurd the cost of reviving his true elites must be. And right now, he only has level 500 Royal Guard at his disposal. That wouldn't do. His personal subordinates are in another league. A single one of them could take on 2 Royal Guards of the same level. Alex exhales and mentally pulls up the list of his fallen subordinates. Rows upon rows of names appear before him, each accompanied by a darkened portrait, a level, and the amount of gold required for resurrection. His gaze sweeps over the names, each one carrying the weight of a warrior lost in battle. These aren't just monsters. These are his monsters, the subordinates who once stood by his side, carving a path of destruction in his name. The first name catches his eye. Varkas the Crimson Fong, level 528. Resurrection cost, 102,000 gold. Alex's lips press together. Karnak, a massive lycanthrope with crimson fur and a towering physique. His strength alone could rival 3 royal guards, his razor-sharp claws able to slice through steel with ease. But his true strength lies in his blood frenzy, a skill that allows him to grow stronger the more he bleeds. Chapter 47, Varka's Resurrection. Once, he tore through an entire battalion of soldiers. But he wasn't just a brute, Varkas was cunning. A warrior who knew when to attack and when to retreat. Alex scrolls further. Valeth the Phantom Stalker, level 532. Resurrection cost, 105,000 gold. A wraith-like assassin, Valeth was a terror on the battlefield. His shadow meld ability allowed him to phase between the physical and ethereal realm, making him nearly impossible to track. He was the perfect killer, silent, precise, merciless. If Varkas was a beast of raw power, Valeth was the dagger in the dark. Gorik the Iron Hide, level 538. Resurrection cost, 112,000 gold. A towering minotaur clad in enchanted black iron. Gorik was a living fortress, his draconic armor skill making him nearly impervious to physical attacks. With a massive warhammer that could shatter mountains, he was the definition of an unstoppable force. In the last battle he fought, he held off a squadron of mages alone, crushing them before he finally fell. Scytha the Venom Queen, level 540. Resurrection cost, 120,000 gold. A Naga sorceress who commanded poison and illusions. Scytha was a nightmare to fight. Her serpent's mirage allowed her to create clones of herself, while her venom could melt through armor in seconds. Alex exhales slowly, leaning back. Even though their levels and prices differ, their actual strength isn't far apart. Varkas is raw destruction. Valeth is death in silence, Gorik is an indomitable shield, and Scytha is a nightmare given form. Any one of them would be a massive advantage. But Alex knows his priorities. If I pick Varkas, he muses, I can at least resurrect a squad of soldiers with the remaining gold. He taps his fingers against the armrest, considering the choice one last time. Karnak is strong, aggressive, and, most importantly, reliable. Unlike the others, he thrives in both solo battles and large-scale fights. With him back, Alex can enforce his rule more effectively, ensuring Mizorn's continued growth. All right then, Alex finally decides, his voice cutting through the silence. Let's do that. Without hesitation, he stands and activates his teleportation. Dark energy swirls around him, the air warping and twisting before. Boom! In an instant, he vanishes from his chamber. Alex reappears in the resurrection room, a vast underground hall hidden beneath the palace. The atmosphere is heavy, thick with an ancient power that lingers in the air. At the room's center stands a massive resurrection altar, a black stone slab engraved with intricate, glowing runes pulsing with deep crimson light. The moment he steps forward, the runes react, brightening as if recognizing his presence. On either side of the altar, statues of long-forgotten deities loom, their stone gazes watching as if judging his decision. The chamber itself is silent, save for the faint hum of magic resonating from the altar. Alex approaches, placing a hand on the cold surface. The runes flare brighter, acknowledging his command. Select Varkas the Crimson Fong. The system responds immediately. Resurrection confirmed. Deducting 102,000 gold. A golden glow envelopes Alex as the massive sum is drained from his inventory. The chamber hums with raw energy, the very air crackling with power. The altar's runes pulse violently, casting eerie reflections across the stone walls. A deep tremor shakes the ground beneath him. Then the silence shatters. A surge of dark energy erupts from the altar, swirling into a vortex of crimson and black, twisting like a violent storm. The glow intensifies, condensing into a single point before. Boom! A shockwave bursts outward, making Alex's cloak billow as the power settles. The figure now standing on the altar is massive, easily towering over 8 feet tall. Varkas the Crimson Fong has returned. Thick, crimson fur covers his hulking frame, and his piercing eyes snap open. His claws flex, sharp as razors, as he takes his first breath in this world once more. His ears twitch, listening to the lingering hum of magic in the chamber. Then his gaze falls upon Alex. Without hesitation, Varkas lowers himself onto one knee, his massive form bowing in absolute reverence. His deep voice rumbles through the chamber, filled with raw gratitude and unwavering loyalty. Thank you, Your Majesty, for bringing me back. Alex, standing before him, crosses his arms and studies Varkas. Damn! This guy is huge. He had known Varkas was large in the game, but seeing him in person, the sheer size and presence of the lycanthrope is almost overwhelming. Rise. Alex commands, his voice steady. It's good to see you again, Varkas. Varkas lifts his head, his golden eyes gleaming with something close to satisfaction. He stands to his full height, his immense frame towering over Alex. Despite his size, his movements are smooth, controlled. There is no wasted motion, no unnecessary aggression. This is a warrior in his prime, fully aware of his own power. Varkas rolls his shoulders, then clenches a fist. His muscles flex beneath his crimson fur, raw strength coursing through him. It's the same for me, Your Majesty, he says, his deep voice filled with conviction. It's been too long. Alex nods. For now, just take some time to familiarize yourself with the city. He pauses, then adds, though I should warn you, the capital is empty. Varkas' eyes narrow slightly. Empty? Yes, but it won't be for long, Alex assures him. I'll gather enough gold to resurrect everyone. His voice is firm, unwavering. It's just a matter of time. Varkas is silent for a moment, then steps forward. He places a clawed hand over his chest and bows his head slightly. Then I will sacrifice myself to help His Majesty achieve it, he declares. Alex exhales sharply, shaking his head. I don't think that's plausible. He narrows his eyes. This is already your 10th death, right? Varkas nods without hesitation. Yes. You already know the rule. Alex continues, his voice firm. You all can only be resurrected 10 times. After the 10th death, it's over. No second chances, no more resurrections. He crosses his arms. So from now on, I'm ordering you, be careful with your life. Chapter 48, 20 Soldiers. Varkas's expression hardens, the weight of Alex's words settling over him. He bows his head slightly. Understood, Your Majesty. I will not waste this life. Alex gives him a firm nod. Good. Now go. Settle into your territory and get used to the city again. Varkas straightens to his full height and places a fist over his chest. As you command. With that, he turns and strides toward the exit, his massive frame moving with quiet confidence. Once Varkas is gone, Alex turns his attention back to the resurrection altar. He still has 300,000 gold left. It's not much compared to what he just spent, but it's enough to bring back a solid force. He raises a hand over the altar. The system interface flickers to life. Select 1 squad of soldiers. Resurrection confirmed. Deducting 300,000 gold. The altar glows again, though this time, the surge of energy is less intense than before. The crimson runes pulse steadily, the chamber vibrating with restrained power. Then, boom! A cluster of figures materializes before him. At the forefront stands a tall, armored warrior, his presence commanding. His plate armor gleams under the dim glow of the chamber, a deep scar running across his left cheek. His level displays above him. Rigor, level 415. Behind him, 20 soldiers stand at attention, their levels ranging from 200 to 300. Some are in heavy armor, others in lighter gear suited for mobility. Their weapons are diverse: blades, spears, bows, but they all share the same disciplined stance. Rigor steps forward, dropping to one knee. His voice is steady, unwavering. Your Majesty, we are honored to return to your service. Alex crosses his arms, scanning the soldiers. He nods in approval. Stand. The squad rises in unison, their movements sharp. Alex looks over the group, then gestures for them to gather closer. You'll be stationed somewhere else. Rigor and his soldiers step in, forming a disciplined formation around him. Alex meets Rigor's gaze. I'm sending you to Mizorn City. It's now under our kingdom's rule, and I need you there to reinforce security. Rigor nods. Understood, Your Majesty. How do we get there? Alex quickly explains the route, detailing the paths and key landmarks. You'll need to travel by foot. Once you arrive, report to Soren. She's in charge there. She'll decide where to station you. Rigor clenches his fist over his chest in salute. We will not fail you. Alex smirks slightly. Good. Now go. With that, he activates his teleportation. The world distorts around him. Soren is hunched over her desk, surrounded by stacks of parchment and ledgers. Her dark eyes are focused as she scribbles down reports, occasionally pushing stray strands of hair behind her ear. The workload has doubled ever since the dungeon became operational, and she barely has time to breathe. Then, boom! Alex suddenly materializes in the room. Soren jumps, her dagger half drawn before she recognizes him. She exhales sharply, rubbing her temple. Your Majesty, she sighs, shaking her head. Could you not do that? Alex chuckles, arms crossed. Didn't know an assassin could get frightened. She glares at him but doesn't have the energy to argue. I'm not frightened, she mutters. I'm just tired and stressed. Alex glances at the cluttered desk. I thought you hired monsters to help you with this. I did, Soren sighs, rolling her shoulders. But there are thousands of monsters requesting citizenship. It's insane. Ever since the dungeon opened, Mizorn has exploded with new residents. Alex raises a brow. How many? In just a few days? Soren leans back, rubbing her temples. 12,000. And it's not slowing down. Alex thought, 12,000 already? That explains the workload. But more than that, it reminds him of the insane requirement to reach level 500. He needs 500,000 citizens. The jump from 10,000 to that number still feels ridiculous. At this rate, it's possible, but it'll take time. Shaking the thought away, he focuses back on Soren. That's actually why I'm here. There will be a squad of soldiers, including a Tier 4, level 400 captain. They'll be arriving soon. You can decide where to station them. Soren immediately perks up at that. That's perfect. She sits up straighter, looking far more alert. With the population growing this fast, we need more guards. Alex nods. Good. Then I'll leave them to you. Soren exhales, relief evident in her posture. I'll make sure they're put to good use. Alex watches her for a moment before saying, It's good to see that you're not hiding your identity anymore. Soren blinks, then chuckles softly. It's all thanks to you, Your Majesty. There's no point in hiding my face anymore. Not when I'm in the safest place in the world. Alex tilts his head slightly. I wouldn't claim my kingdom is the safest place in the world just yet. He keeps his expression neutral, but inwardly, he knows the truth. He still doesn't know much about this world. He's only begun to scratch the surface of its dangers. But, he continues, his voice steady, I will promise you this. My kingdom will not be destroyed by anyone. Soren meets his gaze, something unreadable flickering in her dark eyes. There's a quiet confidence in his words, an unshakable determination that makes her believe it. Alex steps back, preparing to teleport. But just before he does, he smirks again and says, And it's good that you're not hiding your beautiful face anymore. Soren's breath catches. A faint blush creeps up her cheeks, her usual composure faltering. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. It's the first time she's ever felt this strange, unfamiliar warmth in her chest. Boom! Before she can even process it, Alex is gone. Soren stands there for a long moment, staring at the empty space where he once was. She touches her cheek absent-mindedly. What the hell was that? She mutters to herself, completely bewildered. Not far from Mizorn City, a group of human adventurers crouches behind a rocky outcrop, eyes locked onto the distant city. Their captain, a rugged man with a weathered face and a trimmed beard, raises a spyglass to his eye. The enchanted lens hums faintly as he peers through it. Chapter 49, Two Types of Adventurers. Although I can't see much, I can tell there are a lot of monsters outside the city, and they're lining up. His brow furrows. It's hard to explain, but they're standing there obediently, no fighting, no chaos. Just waiting. One of his men, a younger adventurer with a bow slung across his back, leans in. Captain, what about inside the city? It's probably been reduced to rubble by now, right? The captain lowers the spyglass and shakes his head. Can't tell. The walls block my view. He hands the spyglass to another member. See if you can spot anything else. The man takes it and scans the city. His eyes widen slightly. There are monsters on top of the walls, he says, voice tinged with disbelief. They look like they're patrolling. Another adventurer scoffs. That's ridiculous. Since when do monsters patrol like trained soldiers? The captain exhales, running a hand through his short, graying hair. With this information, the quest is a success. We might even get promoted to a silver-ranked adventurer group. He smirks. After all, the kingdom put out this quest specifically. This is exactly the kind of intel they wanted. One of the younger adventurers, a wiry man with twin daggers strapped to his waist, whistles. Silver rank, huh? That'd mean better quests, better pay, and fewer of those garbage escort missions. A stocky warrior with a great sword slung over his back crosses his arms. It'd also mean harder jobs. But this is valuable. If monsters are organizing like this, that's not normal. The kingdom's going to want to know what's happening here. The captain nods. Exactly. That's why we don't take any unnecessary risks. We head back and report. He glances around at his team. And no one does anything stupid, understood? Yeah. The rogue mutters, sheathing his daggers. Not like I want to fight an army of monsters. The youngest member, a bright-eyed mage, looks up from his notebook. Captain, I've been thinking, there are two types of adventurers, right? Some, like us, take quests as a group and rank up together. But then there are solo adventurers, the ones who don't belong to a party and take on quests alone. The captain raises a brow. Yeah, what about it? The mage hesitates, then says, it's just that Crove, a bronze-ranked adventurer, took this quest before us. He never came back, just like the others who took it first. His grip tightens on his notebook. Doesn't that seem off to you? The group falls silent for a moment. The rogue clicks his tongue. Crove, huh? I remember that guy. Thought he was hot shit just because he cleared a goblin den solo. He shakes his head. Still, he wasn't weak. If he disappeared too, maybe he got careless. The warrior grunts. A lone bronze rank sneaking around near a monster-infested city? He was either reckless or unlucky. The captain sighs. Stop being so worrisome. We're far away from the city. I even bought this spyglass for a fortune just so we wouldn't have to get any closer. He taps the expensive item in his hand. This lets us do our job without ending up like Crove or the others. The mage frowns. Still, something doesn't add up. He looks back at the city, then at the monsters outside. If this was just a regular monster outbreak, we should have seen signs of destruction. Smoke, fires, maybe even bodies. But everything looks controlled. The rogue crosses his arms. And that's weird because monsters don't do that, the mage says flatly. They rampage. They destroy. They don't line up in neat little rows like soldiers waiting for orders. The captain exhales sharply. I know it's weird. But weird or not, our job is just to gather intel and report back. We're not here to solve this mystery ourselves. He gestures to his team. We've got what we came for. Now pack up. We're leaving. The group nods and begins gathering their gear. The tension lingers, but they push it aside. After all, they're professionals. Then, a faint whisper. A flicker of movement. The mage's breath catches. His fingers tighten around his staff. A cold, unnatural presence presses against his skin, sending a violent shiver down his spine. Something is wrong. Wait! Before the words can fully escape his lips, the world shifts. The others don't even react. They don't even know, because they're already dead. Dark, wraith-like figures rise from the very shadows around them. Silent, formless beings of pure darkness. No sound, no warning, no chance. One by one, the adventurers drop. Eyes wide, mouths slightly open as if in mid-conversation. Their bodies crumple, lifeless, before they even realize they've been killed. No struggle, no screams, just silence. The mage, the only one who feels it, who knows, tries to raise a barrier. But before he can even gather the mana, cold fingers brush against his throat. His vision blurs. Then, darkness. The shadowy figures stand for a brief moment over the lifeless bodies. They do not speak. They do not linger. And just as suddenly as they appeared, they vanish. In the grand throne room of Ralthian's royal palace, King Edric sits on his throne, his fingers drumming lightly against the armrest. The room is silent, save for the occasional crackle of the torches lining the stone walls. Before him stands Marshal Novius, the kingdom's top military strategist and commander of the royal army. The king exhales, his voice heavy with concern. Marshal Novius, has the Adventurers Guild had any success with the quest? Novius lowers his head slightly. Unfortunately, Your Majesty, they have not. His tone is measured but firm. Every bronze rank adventurers that has accepted the request has failed to return. At this point, we may need to raise the quest to silver rank. King Edric sighs, leaning back against his throne. His expression darkens. So even the bronze-ranked adventurers couldn't handle it, and we still don't know what happened to them. Novia straightens his posture. Rest assured, Your Majesty. If the situation escalates, the kingdom's army is always ready. Chapter 50, Tier 4 Skills. Inside his private training area, Alex stands before a reinforced training dummy, gripping his sword tightly. The air around him hums with mana as he focuses, adjusting his stance. He takes a deep breath. Tier 4 skills are on a completely different level. His muscles tense as he prepares to strike. Phantom Blade, he calls out. His sword flickers out of existence for a brief moment before reappearing mid-swing, slashing cleanly through the air. The attack is nearly invisible, its speed overwhelming. The dummy remains intact for a second. Then, with a faint shimmer, deep gashes appear along its frame. Alex exhales, fast but still not fluid enough. He shifts his grip and moves into his next technique. Rift Step. His figure vanishes in a blur, reappearing behind the dummy in an instant. Alex steadies himself, exhaling slowly. These skills are strong, but using them one at a time isn't enough. He looks at the dummy, now riddled with cuts, but still standing. His grip tightens around his sword. All right, he mutters to himself. Let's start the real training. He walks over to a control panel embedded in the stone wall and adjusts the settings. With a few flicks of his fingers, he changes the dummy's mode. Its passive state vanishes, and instead, a new set of parameters appears before him. Combat mode activated. Difficulty, advanced. Enemy level, 500. Adaptive combat AI enabled. As soon as he confirms the settings, the dummy transforms. Its once wooden form shifts, hardening into a sleek, metallic humanoid with glowing red eyes. The air around it shudders as it takes its first step forward, an aura of power radiating from its frame. Alex grins. Now we're talking. The dummy moves first. With inhuman speed, it lunges, a shimmering blade forming from its right arm. Alex barely dodges in time, twisting his body as the weapon slashes past his shoulder. It's fast. He retaliates instantly. Blazing arc. His sword ignites in flames as he swings upward. The fire streaks through the air, but the dummy blocks it effortlessly with a sudden energy shield. It adapted already? Alex doesn't hesitate, he shifts tactics. Storm Surge. A burst of wind explodes from beneath him, launching him into the air. The dummy follows, leaping after him. Alex's eyes sharpen. Glacial Spikes. The temperature plummets as massive ice spikes materialize in midair, aiming for the dummy. It twists to dodge, but one of the spikes grazes its arm, slowing its movement. Got you. Alex extends his hand. Thunder Chain. Lightning crackles as a web of electricity surges toward the dummy, locking onto the metallic frame. The impact sends shockwaves through the training area, and for a moment, the dummy freezes in place. But only for a moment. With a mechanical hum, its red eyes flare, and its body shifts again. Energy pulses from within, shattering the paralyzing effect. Then, in a flash, it closes the distance. Alex barely has time to raise his sword before the dummy's fist crashes into his guard, sending him skidding across the ground. He grits his teeth, rolling back onto his feet. This is what I wanted, a real challenge. His magic flares once more. All right then. Let's see how you handle everything I've got. Alex plants his feet firmly, rolling his shoulders. His mana surges as he channels his strongest abilities. If he's gonna push himself, he needs to go all out. 11 Tier 4 buffs. He exhales sharply, feeling the immense energy coursing through his veins. Let's see what happens when I stack them all. One by one, he activates them. Titan Strength. His muscles surge with raw power, his body reinforced beyond normal human limits. Celestial Agility. His movements become sharper, his reaction speed doubling instantly. Adamantine Skin. A faint metallic sheen coats his body, making his defenses nearly impenetrable. Arcane Surge. His mana pool expands, his spells and skills gaining a massive boost in potency. Phantom Reflex. His instincts heighten, allowing him to react to attacks almost before they happen. Eagle's Eye. His vision sharpens, tracking every movement of the enemy with crystal clarity. Shadow Step. His body becomes lighter, allowing him to move with unparalleled fluidity. Warrior's Resolve. His stamina replenishes at an accelerated rate, ensuring he doesn't tire quickly. Stormborn Affinity. Lightning crackles around his form, empowering his attacks with electric speed and force. Infernal Wrath. A blazing aura engulfs his body, increasing the destructive power of his fire-based abilities. Glacial Endurance. The heat-resistant flames are countered by an inner cold, stabilizing his temperature and granting frost resistance. A brilliant glow radiates from Alex as the effects of the buffs intertwine. His breathing steadies, his body vibrating with untamed potential. The dummy, as if sensing the drastic increase in power, shifts into a more aggressive stance. Its adaptive AI recalibrates, its red eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. Alex smirks,